Good evening, Otherworldlies. This is Queen Juliana, your Dark Mask Diva. Did you guys know there's different types of pretty privilege? Alright, this is probably going to be kind of like a shorter video, but I just wanted to talk about the different types of pretty privilege. Yeah, I know I talk about it a lot, but this is I'm going to talk about like a darker side of pretty privilege, but right now I'm going to talk about like a lighter side of pretty privilege, okay? So I'll talk about the different kinds. All right, so first one I want to talk about is style privilege. This has less to do with being pretty, but having an artistic flair for putting fabrics or garments together in such a way that impresses other people. Or sometimes it just looks good on you personally. Some people know how to dress for their skin tone or their body type, how to impress people they're around, how to stand out or how to fit in, or whatever they're trying to do. They just know how to do it. I've seen ordinary looking people make themselves look spectacular because they know how to do this with makeup. Like they look like 4s without makeup and 8s with makeup. I mean, their artistry is that deep. I've seen people who would be considered unattractive become something of beauty because they are style icons. If you think you aren't naturally pretty, become stylish and hone your makeup skills. It's worth it. I have seen all these beauty influencers and I was like, wow, they look just really great and everything like that. And I see them with their makeup off and I'm like, whoa, is that what they really look like? And they look like, seriously fam, they look like totally different people with their makeup off. And then I just have mad respect for their artistry. Like they just really go all out, making themselves look amazing. Okay, so these people are pure artists, okay, and they do everything to make themselves look just great. Okay, so they're giving themselves pretty privilege because they're artists and they're amazing at what they do. So they're giving themselves pretty privilege, okay? So you can think that you're just like Mia looking and you can make yourself look great, okay? So this one is baby-faced privilege. Yeah, it's a thing, okay? We feel nurturing towards babies. And people tend to help people who seem more childlike. Men are biologically programmed to be attracted to youth and beauty. So if you're literally not young, it's more that you look young. Okay, because men are visual. Older women who are more maternal will also feel protective of a childlike baby-faced young lady. Like, I get around someone like that and I feel more maternal. The baby-face privilege is a form of beauty. You might just be cute because you're so young looking and not even technically be pretty. Just by virtue of looking youthful. That's simply attractive in itself. Okay, so here's another situation where you're not even technically pretty, like before, where you're making yourself look pretty. Okay, here you just have to look youthful. Exotic privilege. I know you guys know a story's coming up. You have a beauty that is different than most people in the surrounding area. It's not just that you're different looking. You have to be attractive too. So this is a different criteria than the other ones. So this is the one that I have. Okay. I do speak another language besides English, but I was born in California. People don't believe I'm an American. I keep getting asked what country I'm from. When you have exotic beauty, people will ask you intrusive questions. People have asked me intrusive questions my whole life, and I've been tactfully changing the subject, and they just keep trying to ask. They think they can do that when you have exotic beauty. Like, they lose control of themselves, they wouldn't do it to someone regular. I remember one time when I was 18, and I was talking to this other girl who is about my age. She's probably a little younger. And the reason I think she's younger, because she was being like really unsophisticated, okay? She was another white girl, but apparently she thought I was very exotic looking. First, she asked me if I was wearing contact lenses. Okay. People do ask me that all the time. I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are dark blue. I don't think you can really tell, but they are a very unusual color. I don't think you can tell, but they are dark blue. Okay. I've never worn contacts in my life. I've only recently needed glasses. Then she asked me if I had a nose job. To date, I've had no plastic surgery. Then she asked if my hair was natural. Okay, I think you guys know my hair isn't really orange, but it's naturally blonde, and it was my natural color back then. I didn't dye it or anything then. Then she asked me if I did drugs to stay so thin, because I was very thin back then. I told her there's nothing shady or funny about me, and I guess I just look unusual to her for some reason. She was like, "Oh, wow." Usually when people are doing that to you, they're coming at you sideways, usually. And you should shut them down so they knock it off. But I think that time it was just kind of innocent. I think she was just a little uncouth. I wanted to be offended, but honestly, I was just flattered. She's kind of making a big deal out of me. Okay, this one is going to sound rude. It's going to sound really rude. The standard of beauty where you live. So I learned about this when I was in my 20s, when I started traveling around the US. The standard of beauty is different in every state. This is like I kind of put my foot in my mouth. Next time I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I also found out that a lot of people don't like Californians. They don't want us to move in and drive up the cost of living and whatever else they think we're going to bring with us. I'm not going to say what state I was in. I almost don't want to tell this story. But I thought all the heterosexual women I saw were lesbians because they look just like masculine presenting lesbians that we have here. So I said to the people I was staying with, God, this is embarrassing, that I didn't realize they had such a thriving gay community. I said I wasn't expecting it. They looked at me like I was crazy, and they told me they didn't have that. The longer I stayed, I saw these women with male partners. So I clearly misunderstood. They were all a bunch of tomboyish women. Here in Sacramento, I I live in a gay neighborhood and we have all kinds of lesbians. Okay? I myself am bisexual. So I'm not coming from a homophobic place. We have all kinds of different kinds of gay people here. But these women look like the masculine presenting lesbians we have here, okay? And this was a long time ago. I was really under a completely different impression. Yeah. One of the people I was staying with must have put 2 and 2 together. Because he said the standard of beauty out here is not the same. He went on to say that California standards is a lot higher. Boy, was I feeling rude. Talk about putting your foot in your mouth and saying something rude you can't take back. Yeah, that's what I did. Then later I started hearing stuff like how such and such would be average in New York, but she'd be considered a 10 in some other state. Or someone is a 3 anywhere else, but they'd be an 8 in so-and-so's hometown. Yeah, I started hearing expressions like that after that. It was like, oh, okay. After hearing things like that, it was like I started hearing phrases like that out of people. After I put my foot in my mouth. When I was staying at those people's house. So the moral of the story is, if you want more pretty privilege, go somewhere you'd be considered more attractive. By comparison. The state where most of the women looked like masculine presenting lesbians, everyone was staring at me. And finally, regular pretty privilege. You won the genetic lottery. You are aesthetically pleasing to look at, naturally. Okay? Lucky you. Right? People either naturally love you or hate you for it. Okay? You walk into the room and people notice. You have had to learn not to be self-conscious because people stare at you all the time. Things either go your way or someone is trying to sabotage you, and it's because of your looks. There's a thing called looksism. It's another word associated with pretty privilege. Some people don't realize they have it until they don't have it anymore. You could lose it by gaining 40 pounds or getting a bad haircut. It could be over something that petty. The people who say it's not real just don't realize they have it. Getting really tired of people who say it's not real. Okay. Guys, come on. Stop insulting the people that are getting thrown under the bus who don't have it. Because you know you have it. Come on. That's just freaking rude, okay? People who do realize they have it probably have been in relationships with a bunch of insecure partners and have never been able to have a peaceful union with anyone because of it. Okay. Very dark downside. I go into that in another content, so stay tuned. It's a misconception that people with pretty privilege are an AH. Okay? Just don't like seeing them getting free stuff. Okay? I get it. Or getting the job you applied for, or going out with a person you like. Know this, people marry the beautiful one and cheat with the ugly one, so every dog has his day. Pretty privileged people aren't trying to be jerks. They're accepting opportunities. I would hope they'd give back in some way. So those are the different types, and I hope that was explanatory. So that was a shorter content than I usually do, but I just wanted something to put in the middle of the week, and I hope it was entertaining. And I just wanted to tell an embarrassing story about myself, embarrass myself a little bit on the air. And I hope you guys have a wonderful middle of the week, and I will see you at the end of the week for another content. And I love you all, and thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you all. And I will see you later. Good night.